One thing I knew, he was a hard worker. Second thing I knew, genetically, he's very gifted. But I knew after the evaluation we had some work to do. Now I've seen his body already evolve into something totally different. I've seen his conditioning evolve into something different. And more importantly, his understanding of his body and why he's doing things the way he's doing them. That's the most important evolution that I've seen.
Get in here. Get all the way in here. Because what you're about to witness makes the Kardashians look like they run a peaceful knitting club in the mountains. This is the kind of leaked, explosive, gloves-off access that boxing's elite PR teams prayed would never see daylight. We're talking Jake Paul stepping into Anthony Joshua's world like a man who accidentally clicked expert mode on life and can't find the exit button. These cameras didn't just capture training, they captured tension, ego, delusion, hope, and pure heavyweight terror. Jake Paul is training like he's preparing to battle Greek gods, and Anthony Joshua is sharpening himself like he's swatting away a summer mosquito. One man is fighting for respect he's never had. The other is fighting to avoid headlines that would haunt him forever. Every punch, every breath, every drill, every moment feels like a secret stolen from deep inside their camps. This isn't hype. This is a collision course between a YouTube disruptor and a heavyweight executioner. And once you see what these cameras picked up, oh, you'll understand why the internet is on fire right now. Welcome to the chaos. Welcome to the circus. Welcome to All Access Punch Press. Let's begin. From the moment the door swung open at Anthony Joshua's camp, the energy felt different. Like walking into a military base disguised as a boxing gym. The air was thick with sweat, intensity, and that silent, ruthless confidence only heavyweight monsters carry. Joshua moved through the room like a disciplined machine, the kind of machine that casually breaks other machines before breakfast. Meanwhile, the whispers around camp practically screamed, "Jake Paul really wants this smoke." Because as soon as AJ started his explosive weight sessions, the reality hit. Jake wasn't stepping into a boxing match. He was stepping into a controlled demolition site. Joshua's team didn't just train him. They engineered him. Strength drills, movement patterns, body control sessions, all done with a calm sharpness that felt almost unfair. This wasn't a man preparing for a YouTuber. This was a world champion, sharpening his weapons as if he were preparing for mythical beasts. Every punch sounded like it traveled with its own passport stamp. Every exhale felt like a warning siren. And while fans argued online about Jake's boxing experience, Jay didn't waste a single second thinking about social media debates. He was preparing to deliver a message written entirely in pain. Jake Paul, on the other hand, was locked in his own transformation arc. The kind of arc where you desperately train like a Marvel character because the villain of your story is reality. Jake wasn't slacking. Not even close. His camp was built around power sprints, explosive drills, pressure conditioning, and shoulder-burning rounds of mitt work. Say what you want, but Jake trains with conviction. The man truly believes he's living in a boxing anime where hard work can override a 20-level skill gap, and his team encourages it because belief, at this stage, is his only weapon sharper than his right hand. But the moment a Jay's trainer described his evolution, the mood changed instantly. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was surgical. He talked about AJ's body changing, his power distributing differently, his conditioning turning into something terrifying. And the scariest part wasn't Joshua's strength, it was his understanding. A fighter who understands every inch of his body is a fighter who controls every inch of the ring. And that spells disaster for a man whose biggest win is over a DJ. Turned boxer, turned influencer. Joshua's coaching cues were smooth but lethal. Control the middle. Time your shots. Don't chase power too early. It was like listening to a professor casually teach the blueprint to ending a human being. Every jab he threw felt like a final exam for Jake Paul's survival. Every step he took across the canvas was a reminder that this wasn't a crossover fight. This was a mission. Even Eddie Hearn, who was normally the king of optimism, couldn't contain his disbelief. His interviews were a mixture of amusement, shock, the kind of low-key fear promoters feel when their fighter is offered an absurd amount of money. And that amount, too big, too insane, too massive for a J to ignore. Hearn didn't sugarcoat a thing. "It's a career-high payday," he said. "We'd be crazy not to take it." And just like that, the business side snapped into focus. Boxing wasn't just a sport. It was a marketplace. And Jake Paul, for the first time ever, accidentally offered a heavyweight the financial version of cheat codes. Everyone kept saying, Jake Paul was a madman for wanting this fight. A brave madman, yes, but still a madman. Because while he was preparing to shock the world, Joshua was preparing to avoid an embarrassing headline that would live forever. One man wants greatness. The other wants to avoid chaos. The stakes could not be more different. And yet, the internet kept pushing the idea that Jake had a puncher's chance. A chance fueled by chaos theory, physics, and absolutely no real evidence. Boxing analysts laughed. Fighters rolled their eyes. Fans argued like their Wi-Fi bills depended on it. But inside Joshua's camp, nobody was laughing. Not because Jake was dangerous, but because Joshua didn't take chances lightly. Even his easy fights were taken seriously. Even his should-win moments were treated like potential disasters. That's what separates champions from content creators. The fear of losing never leaves. Jake's team, meanwhile, pushed a narrative of destiny. They reminded him he beat Tommy Fury's brother, Nila. They reminded him he survived rounds with legit fighters. They reminded him of his brand. But nobody could remind him of facing a real heavyweight. Nobody. Not one human being on earth could help him imagine what it feels like to absorb a clean right hand from Anthony Joshua. And that mystery was the entire story. As the camps trained, social media ignited like a gas leak. Memes flooded timelines. Fans picked sides aggressively. Some said Jake was brave. Others said he was delusional. Some said AJ was desperate. Others said he was smart. Every clip leaked from either camp went viral within minutes. Every punch, every grunt, every slowed-down training video became an argument starter. Boxing hasn't been this chaotic since the Logan Paul versus Floyd circus. Except this time, the danger was real. Not pretend danger. Not marketing danger. Real, bone-shaking, lights-out danger. Even trainers started chiming in. Some warned Jay could be seriously hurt. Some said Joshua would take years off his life if he connected right. Others said this was entertainment with consequences. None of them saw this as a competitive matchup. Not one. The conversation shifted from "Can Jake win?" to "Should Jake even be allowed in the ring?" Joshua didn't respond to the noise. He kept training like he was preparing for a world title fight. He kept lifting like gravity wasn't real. He kept sparring with sharpness that made grown men question their career choices. Every session reminded people of what heavyweight power truly looks like. He wasn't treating Jake like a YouTuber. He was treating him like a threat. And that's what made this so dangerous. A fully focused Joshua is the last person any logical man should ever volunteer to fight. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's camp tightened up. They added new strategies, new defensive drills, new strength circuits. They pushed him to the limit. They wanted his legs stronger, his core sharper, his hands faster. They wanted him durable enough to survive at least 3 minutes. Because, as one trainer joked off camera, if Jake survives 1 round, the internet will treat it like he won an Olympic medal. But even as Jake's conditioning improved, the gap remained enormous. Joshua's calmness was unsettling. He wasn't threatened. He wasn't stressed. He wasn't emotional. He was composed, the kind of composed that only comes from being in deep waters with killers for over a decade. Jake's confidence came from belief. Joshua's confidence came from experience. And those two types of confidence do not mix well when fists start flying. Yet, despite the imbalance, the event grew larger. Fans demanded more footage, more leaks, more insights. And both camps knew the attention meant only one thing: chaos was coming. The kind of chaos that sells pay-per-views, explodes social media, and makes even casual fans turn into conspiracy theorists overnight. What started as a rumor became a spectacle. What started as a mismatch became a global talking point. And what started as a financial decision turned into one of the most polarizing matchups in modern boxing history. Because somewhere between Jake Paul's ambition and Anthony Joshua's dominance lies the truth. This fight is either the greatest marketing move of all time, or the biggest disaster waiting to unfold. Either way, the world is watching, and the camps know it. The camps know it. As leaked clips from both training camps spread like wildfire, the internet transformed into a digital madhouse. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform exploded the moment someone posted a Jay's punch echoes or Jake Paul's motivational rants. People were acting like they were witnessing leaked NASA footage. One side of the internet crowned Jake a hero for even stepping into the same sentence as Anthony Joshua. The other side claimed he needed a welfare check for making the worst decision of his adult life. And somewhere in the middle, boxing purists cried into their vintage gloves, begging the sport to please stop becoming a Marvel crossover event. Celebrities weighed in too, because apparently everyone loves an impending train wreck. Rappers tweeted memes of Jake Paul shadowboxing next to subtitles, like when you're trying to fight your landlord. NBA players posted jokes comparing a Jay's punch to being hit by a Tesla going full autopilot. Influencers uploaded reaction videos with titles like, "Jake Paul, what are you doing?" Meanwhile, comedians roasted the entire situation, calling it the first sanctioned execution broadcast live on pay-per-view. But the real chaos erupted when a few high-profile sports analysts tried to play devil's advocate. They posted clips claiming Jake Paul has a real shot if he lands clean. This immediately triggered global confusion. Fans reacted like an alien invasion was happening. Even a Jay's own supporters started questioning if this was a psychological prank. These analysts were either trolling, drunk, paid off, or simply in love with chaos. Because the idea that Jake Paul could land a clean shot on Anthony Joshua became the new online comedy special, Inside Jake's Camp. Though those clips fueled them, his team doubled down on the underdog narrative with the pride of a Disney movie soundtrack. They reminded him how everyone laughed when he boxed Nate Robinson, laughed again when he fought Tyron Woodley, laughed again when he called out Canelo, okay. They still laugh about that one, but the point is, Jake thrives on doubt. The more the world clowns him, the more he trains like he's rewriting destiny. His gym sessions started running longer, louder, and more dramatic than ever. The man was training like Rocky. If Rocky was fighting Godzilla, but across the ocean, Anthony Joshua was unbothered. And not just regular unbothered. This was elite-level, monk-like, ice-cold, unbothered. While Jake's camp blasted hype music at 100 decibels, Age's camp trained in silence, the silence of a man who knows exactly what he can do. His jabs cut the air like high-speed drones. His footwork glided across the canvas like he was moving through a choreography only heavyweights understand. Every session looked like a highlight reel waiting to go viral for the wrong reasons. Then came the twist. The commissions began whispering concerns. Some states didn't want the fight. Some commissioners were calling it unethical. Some argued it was too dangerous. And the leaked emails, phew, They read like a group chat filled with people panicking about being blamed if things went wrong. Words like risk, safety, liability, and catastrophic outcome kept popping up like warning signs written in neon dot. Fans only got more hyped. Of course, because controversy is rocket fuel. Meanwhile, the memes reached historic levels. People photoshopped Jake Paul staring at AJ like a kid staring at a tax bill. Others made videos comparing AJ's right hand to Thanos snapping. One viral clip showed Jake dodging punches edited over a scene from The Matrix, except the caption said, "This is what he thinks he'll do." The follow-up clip? Jake getting flattened by a cartoon anvil with the caption, "And this is what will actually happen." Even Tommy Fury got dragged back into the spotlight. He hopped into interviews reminding the world he beat Jake, and therefore AJ would beat Jake with his pinky toe. He bragged that if Joshua loses, Tommy automatically becomes two-Tom, heavyweight world champion by default. He laughed so hard during one interview that people weren't sure if he was mocking Jake or just in shock. The fight existed at all. Boxing legends chimed in too. Some said AJ would end Jake's career. Others said the fight should be exhibition only. Some insisted Jake shouldn't be near a ring with an elite heavyweight, lest it came with medical insurance that covers foolish decisions. Even David Haye, a man who survived heavyweight wars, said Jake's chances were somewhere between a miracle and a glitch in the simulation. But the true viral earthquake hit when Eddie Hearn explained the financials. The purse was so huge, it sounded illegal. The kind of number that would make even retired fighters sprint out of bed and lace up their gloves. Suddenly, everyone understood why Joshua accepted. It wasn't ego. It wasn't legacy. It was generational wealth delivered on a silver platter. Hearn basically said, "Bro, it's too much money to walk away from," and the internet screamed, "Fair enough." And then came the big philosophical debate: would beating Jake Paul add to AJ's legacy or damage it? The split was savage. Some fans said AJ needed an easy win to reset his confidence. Others said fighting Jake was like repainting the Mona Lisa using crayons. Media hosts debated whether Joshua should be ashamed or applauded. People broke into fights in comment sections. Families probably argued at dinner. The world hadn't been this divided since pineapple on pizza. Through it all, Jake Paul doubled down on confidence. He released gym clips, motivational rants, shirtless poses, training montages, and more. He talked about destiny, fate, and rewriting boxing hierarchy. Fans boosted him. Haters roasted him. But the engagement, off the charts. Jake Paul is the only man alive who can get ridiculed publicly and somehow convert that ridicule into millions. AJ, on the other hand, didn't release a single motivational speech. Not one. His only statement. A quiet nod and a smirk during pads. A smirk so calm it felt like a threat. It said, "I don't need to talk. You know how this ends." And that was the part that terrified everyone. Because despite all the hype, drama, memes, celebrity reactions, and online nonsense, one truth stood above everything. Jake Paul had never been inside a ring with a man who hits like a detached refrigerator falling off a skyscraper. And AJ was preparing like he wanted to remind the world exactly what heavyweight power feels like. The build-up wasn't a circus anymore. It was a countdown. A countdown to either the craziest upset in boxing history or the shortest main event in modern time. Either way, the world couldn't look away. Not now, not ever. As the fight announcements settled into the public consciousness, something unexpected happened. Both Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua became walking storylines, each representing completely different worlds colliding in real time. Networks aired special segments. Sports bars held early debate nights. Betting apps saw spikes so wild, analysts thought something glitched. People weren't just talking about the fight, They were preparing for a cultural event, a chaos parade, a spectacle nobody asked for, but everybody secretly wanted in Jake's camp. The tension transformed into determination. This wasn't a meme to his team anymore. This was a mission to shock the world. Jake trained like someone possessed, like every insult he'd ever received was taped to the punching bag. He studied AJ's fights obsessively, replaying moments, analyzing patterns, trying to decode a man whose fight IQ has been sharpened against world champions. His coaches pushed him, encouraging a strategy that mixed confidence with survival. Jake wasn't just training to win. He was training to stay alive. There's a difference. Meanwhile, in Joshua's orbit, things felt strangely balanced. His camp exuded the confidence of a fighter who had nothing left to prove and nothing left to fear. Reporters noted how AJ joked around in training sessions, but the moment the gloves touched, he turned ice cold. Every punch was delivered with purpose. Every movement had a message. Joshua was training with the focus of a man who understood he didn't just need to win, he needed to send a statement to every doubter, every critic, every heavyweight watching from the shadows. But the aftermath of the announcement created ripple effects across the entire boxing world. Heavyweight contenders started side-eyeing the situation, wondering why Jake Paul got a golden ticket into boxing royalty while they were still fighting each other for crumbs. Promoters started calculating numbers, wondering if influencer fights were now officially more profitable than legitimate title bouts. And fans were torn between excitement, disgust, fascination, and confusion. The public perception of Jake Paul shifted too. Some claimed he was delusional. Others praised him for being fearless enough to challenge someone who could punch a hole through drywall without trying. He got heart, they said. He got courage, they said. But the quiet question everyone avoided was the only one that mattered. Does heart matter when your opponent punches like a wrecking ball with Wi-Fi? Then came the psychological warfare. Jake released a video calling AJ slow, stiff, and past his peak. The clip went viral within minutes. People laughed, clipped it, roasted it, remixed it into TikTok audios. But AJ didn't respond. Not with words, not with jokes, not with memes. He simply posted one single video of him hitting pads, a clip so explosive the internet asked if the camera survived. Joshua's silence became a weapon. Every time Jake talked, every time he ranted, every time he hyped himself up, fans responded with AJ's pad work. The internet turned Joshua into a silent assassin preparing for a public tutorial called How to Delete a YouTuber. And yet, Jake kept pushing. His confidence wasn't fading, it was growing. He said fighting AJ was like fighting destiny. Analysts rolled their eyes so hard they probably saw their own brains. Still, the hype grew stronger. Podcasts debated outcomes. Trainers argued technique. Former champions weighed in, some urging caution, others predicting disaster. But beneath all the noise, something deeper was happening. Jake Paul was forcing the world to question what boxing even was anymore. Was it legacy? Was it money? Was it entertainment? Was it all of the above? Jake was playing his own game, and whether people liked it or hated it, they couldn't deny he dragged boxing into a new dimension. Meanwhile, AJ's camp began preparing for the aftermath, not of the fight scene, but of the storyline. If he destroyed Jake Paul quickly, purists would celebrate. Casual fans would call him a bully. Critics would say he fought beneath his level. But if Jake survived a few rounds, the world would lose its mind. The headlines would write themselves. Jake Paul survives round 1. Is AJ losing power? Influencer stuns boxing elite. AJ had everything to lose. Jake had nothing to lose. It was the perfect storm of imbalance. But the strangest twist came from behind the scenes. Rumors spread that multiple networks were already negotiating the rights for follow-up content. Some wanted a behind-the-scenes documentary. Others wanted a reality series. A few even discussed a multi-fight deal depending on the outcome. Boxing wasn't just witnessing a fight. It was witnessing the birth of a media empire moment, and then the consequences started hitting the fighters themselves. Jake Paul's name skyrocketed to the top of every search engine. His brand deals multiplied. His merch sold out. His camp became a circus of content creators, investors, fighters, and hype men. Meanwhile, AJ became the face of a global conversation about athlete safety, legacy management, and the blurred line between sport and spectacle. Even fighters who hated the matchup couldn't stop watching. The world had reached a point where every opinion was loud. Every debate was heated, and every prediction was dramatic. People claimed they knew exactly how it would end. But deep down, nobody truly knew. Because boxing is unpredictable. Because upsets happen. Because egos crumble. Because underdogs rise. And because sometimes the universe just loves chaos. As training camp footage leaked, AJ blasting the heavy bag like it owed him money. Jake weaving through drills like he was dodging online hate. Fans knew one thing for sure. This fight wasn't just going to be a match. It was going to be an event that defined careers, shifted narratives, and either crowned Jake Paul as the boldest disruptor in modern boxing or sent him crashing into the harshest reality check he'd ever experienced. The countdown grew louder. The world leaned in. And every second that passed brought them closer to a collision so outrageous even Hollywood couldn't script it. Whether this fight becomes iconic, tragic, hilarious, or historic, one thing is certain: the world will never forget it. Not the buildup, not the stakes, not the madness, and definitely not the aftermath. And if you made it all the way to the end of this madness, congratulations! You officially survived the most unhinged fight buildup in modern boxing history. Your reward: front row access to the chaos that's about to unfold when Jake Paul steps into the ring with Anthony Joshua like he's walking into a lion's den wearing chicken-flavored cologne. So before this entire timeline melts down, do yourself a favor and smash that like button like you're AJ punching a heavy bag that owes him rent. Go ahead and subscribe like Jake Paul signing another contract he definitely didn't read all the way. Then drop a comment telling me whether you think Jake's walking out of that ring on his feet or on a stretcher with a motivational speech loaded for his next podcast episode. This channel runs on scandals, leaks, chaos, and pure combat insanity. And trust me, you do not want to miss the next one. Every week, another fighter snaps, another promoter lies, another secret leaks, and another storyline explodes so hard it makes reality TV look like Sunday school. And you already know Punch Press is the only place giving you the raw, unfiltered, dramatic breakdowns. The world is too scared to publish, so hit that bell notification like you're ringing the final round, because the next episode might drop while you're asleep, eating, working, or pretending to be productive. And when the next twist hits this saga, you'll want to be the first person screaming, "Bro, what?" With the rest of us, this is chaos. This is combat. This is controversy. This is Punch Press, where the gloves are off, the drama is real, and the stories hit harder than a Jay's right hand. Stay tuned, stay locked in, and get ready. Because the next scandal, yeah, it's already brewing. It's already brewing.